Thank you for joining the Once Changing the World, which is India's first future tech meets sustainability podcast. And today I'm delighted and honored to have Mr. Pravin Hungund, who is a technologist and innovation leader with 3 decades of experience in the industry. He's the ex-chief technologist and global head Technovation Center at the CTO at the Wipro Limited, and currently the CTO at Meta's Digital. So Pravin, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Technology has evolved over the years. I mean 30 years back we didn't even have a phones, or maybe we just saw the first glimpse of a phone, and the internet that itself has evolved and has taken over a life completely, where we, the consumers or even businesses, have become over dependent on these tech stacks, and obviously there are the tech lights who are kind of like pushing out the conversation, saying that we are getting in the space where the technology is becoming stronger than the technologist. So for someone who's been invested in the space for the last 30 years in the space, how has technology evolved over the years, and what are the new insights that you're seeing with all these converging tech stack?
That's a good question, Eddie. You know what? If you look at if somebody wakes up today and says that I did not see that coming, I think it's impractical. It's impossible, right? Because one thing, and I've been having this debate for a long time, in the last 10, 15 years, I don't think any new technology per se has been invented, right? Well, I go back and look at AI. I think it's about 60, 70 years. The world has known AI. AR, VR also is nothing new about it. Right, I think metaverse in 1992 was referred by Snow Crash. Way before that, we've seen movies talk about AR, VR, and concepts and all of that. So while the conceptual side of technology has remained constant, interestingly, the entire shift from where technology was maybe in 1990s when internet just got formed and transformed and disrupted the entire business ecosystem. What started then was basically a software-defined marketplace. Amazon launched itself in 97. And what we've seen is in the last 25, 30 plus years, the whole shift from being very hardware-centric to a very software-defined world eventually, right? We've seen, and every technology stack that we see today is predominantly software-defined. AI itself is software-defined intelligence, right? A blockchain software-defined trust, talk of AR, VR, largely software-defined experiences. 5G itself is software-defined connectivity, right? And so philosophically, we've moved away from everything being hardware-centric to a lot of it being software-centric. Right, and that has two patterns that has evolved because of that. The world being, and metaverse itself is software-defined world, right? When I look at world building and the whole metaverse thing that we've got so excited about in the last 2 years is primarily a software-defined environment. What takes a turnkey project of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in a metaverse world, maybe a 5-month effort can build a very comprehensive ecosystem that can get utilities utilized in a very different context way early in the game there, right? So the patterns I'm seeing is being away from complexity, which is, erstwhile you needed a PhD to even use a computer, to today I can see citizen developers using common skills to be able to go and develop environments, develop world environments, develop AI models and customize that, right? So that's a phenomenal shift in the way we're seeing technology evolve in the last 30 plus years. And today, it's exciting to see bottom of the pyramid leveraging technology. Be it India, where, the whole fact that UPI today can do a transaction for as low as a 2 paise or less than that per transaction, and get anybody and everybody use technology at the edge where there is no technology present at all except a smartphone. Right, and that's so exciting. That's so powerful that the world has evolved into in the last 30 years. The only mantra I would say is simplicity at the edge, and we're seeing that a lot more translate itself to reality with all the technologies evolving.
you so beautifully defined the progression or evolution of tech, and rightfully, I mean, there's no new tech per se. This has been there since ages, but possibly the capabilities was not there for it to give us the utility which it's giving right now. Even AI, I mean, was there, it went through various winters, and now because of the acceleration of hardware and software, and you rightfully pointed out the transition from hardware to software being the game changer, is where I think you see more utilities and more applications, which is completely upending the customer journey, and I think you also hinted at the democratization of technology, where the bottom of the pyramid is getting access to create great innovation if you put your mind and efforts to it. So I think, I mean, today's day, being a lifelong learner and being a curious individual, whether it's and figuring out all the new things to leverage it, I think you will be able to create a preferred future, and I think there is some exciting things happening, and most of these tech stacks, I think it's all converging. Earlier I used to think that, oh, it's going to be artificial intelligence or like virtual reality or blockchain technology. Now that the lines are getting blurred, with the metaverse, the underlying economic layer is going to be Web3. To drive it forward, make it latency free, is going to be the 5G. The digital avatar is becoming intelligent, is going to be the AI layer. So all of these, I hope that these tech, which is their layer right in the front, goes behind how it's happened with the phone, where we don't even call it a technology. It's a computer in a pocket, but we don't even think of it like that. We use it for all of our daily interactions. So I think we're getting into a fantastic space. It's only that I think we humans need to understand that how this tech stack has given us the potential to create businesses and learning opportunities. So instead of pushing it away and thinking about banning, pausing it, I think we need to understand what are the ways where we can take this tech stack and make it human friendly or create innovations which helps humanity. So you have been the chapter president of VRARA at Bangalore. So you've got your hands in all tech stack. What is it that caught your attention when it comes to extended reality, virtual reality, metaverse?
Eddie, if I look at extended reality, metaverse, AR, VR, that's something that from a technology innovation standpoint, I've been exposed to for quite some time, right? I think way back in 2014 is when we first started looking at how we can use immersive tech and setting up a digital wall. Then in 2015, I set up a Pepper Ghost hologram for industrial applications. And then in 2018, set up a computer augmented virtual environment as part of my portfolio, right? And way back, if I can look back at my thought process in 2014, when social computing evolved into becoming immersive tech and immersive started gaining shape, that caught my attention a lot more personally at that stage, right? But because I realized that I can compute a lot of things which are very fuzzy in the world today, right? And then things started shaping up. And you rightly brought out earlier, saying that capability is improved, right? With cloud bringing scalability, elasticity way back in 2018-19 timeframes, to being able to, provision technology at runtime and do it at scale is what sort of started getting my attention at that point of time. And then I started realizing, if I look back at my experience with industrial holograms and Cave, I started realizing that the latency aspects will start improving. And then the whole idea of how such technologies can converge, the fusion of technologies and fusion of processes, right? The business world has a very common terminology called straight through processing, especially the insurance world. We started seeing that concept applicable in the business world, where activities were not disjointed, or processes were not disjointed because of lack of ability to integrate and APIs and all of that. So that started changing in that time frame. So I think what caught my attention, I wouldn't say any one specific tech, right? I knew AR VR is there. There is a lot of Internet of Experiences concept that will start shaping and evolving way back then. AI picked up, blockchain picked up, then metaverse picked up, NFTs came in. So I think it's all coming to it. And you rightly pointed, there's so many S curves coming up right now, and all of them are in parallel, right? And S curves are at the early stage. They look R&D. By the time you blink your eyes, they've gone into production, or they've gone into being discarded as a concept or as a stack. So it's exciting. I mean, I really love the way the world is shaping up today from a technology standpoint. There definitely are areas that, and you also alluded to that, Eddie, in your conversation. There are areas where we need to ensure that these technologies add productive value and not destructive, philosophy for the world. And the ethics, the biasing concepts are important, and they are all of them, when they come together, the multiplication factors are much higher. So I'm sure, while we see productivity, and it is important, and I agree with you, from my standpoint, allowing these technologies to scale rapidly is very important, because I'll put it slightly differently. We've created enough problems using the past technologies in the last 40, 50 years, right? Leading to climate change, leading to sustainability, the whole philosophy of probably will the world even survive beyond certain time frame, right? To solve those problems, I'm sure we need a different approach, and this technology is going to be at the center of it. So the technologies of today are designed or are philosophically set to solve some of the complex problems that we ourselves created in the past, and we have to ourselves solve it in the near future.
Through our desire to invent, create things, I think humanity has created fantastic things, but for each innovation that we've created, which has solved so many problems, it's created an additional problem. So somehow I think the new generation of entrepreneurs are looking at, creating businesses which fits in the circular economy, where you create a solution which is so holistic without harming the environment or the planet. And yes, some of those tech stacks like Web3, Metaverse, Web3 with its transparency ethos, interoperability, taking the middleman out of the picture, it can be a little bit idealistic, but the ethos is really cool. Even with the Metaverse, having something which is interoperable, open in a world which is so hierarchically driven, top bottom. How do we do something which is create a system which is interoperable, open? We don't understand, but possibly the newer generation, the younger generation, are somehow working slowly. And I'm sure it's very hazy and it's going to take a long time. But I think we need to give a chance to the newer breed of entrepreneurs who are really crazy, sometimes scary, sometimes stupid. But I think sometimes the stupidity can be something, open up something really, really beautiful. I mean, so you're the CTO of Avinya Tech. Can you talk about Avinya Tech and how have you been helping businesses with Avinya Tech?
Sure. So I'll talk a lot more about how I've evolved from to where we are today, right? And from Avinya Tech as a co-founder and CTO, right? The way we're seeing the whole philosophy evolve and drive from a world. See, I think what happened in the past is all of these technologies are growing individually, right? And when we started converging, you brought out very well, saying that the digital natives today are so much more you use the right word, crazy, right? Because they think out of the box, and for them there's no predefined norm that needs to be followed to do things in the world, right? And that is required, right? That's required for you because we're slowly moving away from a standard computable or computed processes to a more composable environment today, right? And when I look at the solution space, a lot of it is composable. You can pull up a lot of things together and then solve problems much more faster. And then it may be a need, it may be a feature, whatever it is. The need for composability and rapidly solving problems in the world is becoming an important aspect, both from a business standpoint, from a professional or individual standpoint, and from a ecosystem standpoint. So from a from where I see the technology world as a CTO today is what excites me is the ability to be able to create crowd farms, right? You're able to, and then not a new philosophy. We've seen crowd farms in the manufacturing industry, automotive, industry shape up pretty well and be able to, thrive in its own ecosystem out there. Similar ecosystems are getting created today out in the tech world, right? And it is bringing the conventional industries together and the deep tech and emerging tech industries together into a platform where you're able to compose solutions a lot more rapidly, right? And the interesting part is that the is it a feature or this, right? Now, if you look at the problem space, also are getting composable, right? There's a ripple effect on problems. You see one problem somewhere, it has, somewhere far away, there's an impact out there, and you start suddenly seeing it becoming bigger and bigger in no time. A pandemic is a great example, right? One small infection, one small city, 100 people, 1,000 people, billion people, 8 billion people, and a matter of what, less than 90 days, right? And those patterns are not unique. It may be positive, it may be negative, but that ripple effect and multiplying factors are where the composability part of it is getting a lot more important. And that's what exciting me today as a CTO, looking back at how do you view the problem space differently? How do you view a solution space differently? And how do you apply technology creatively, innovatively to solve some of these seen and some of these unseen problems that are coming up out there? And I think that's a need of the startup. And when I look back at a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the younger ones, they think, I think a lot of what I'm saying right now is what I've learned from the way they think and the way they do things there, right? For them, putting things together, unlearning, bundling, rebundling, unbundling is, that's a way of life for them. And, sitting where I am after 30 years, I realized that I need to learn that very, very quickly.
The process of learning doesn't have to do anything with age. My background is creativity, and I don't know nothing about technology, and my education is not there. But I have this desire to constantly learn. And I think the education industry itself is completely upending, because I think there is a repository of knowledge available freely out there on the internet. It's the ones who are looking, they only need to just kind of open up and they'll find everything is almost pretty free. So I think we'll be getting into such a wonderful world. And the only thing that stops any individual or business in the planet is the desire and intent. Digital transformation. Now, you've been driving digital transformation for the longest year. What is the term all about, and how is this tech stack completely changing? And how does a business, whether it's small, medium enterprise, a big one, how do they survive and thrive in this rapidly evolving, disrupting world?
Yeah, that's a very exciting question. I love that question, right? Now, if you look back at, two things I'll say. One is the world is moving from a smartphone, smart city, smart machine world towards an intelligent city, intelligent edge world, right? And we're seeing that shift happening right into the eyes as we talk through, be Chat GPT and the next versions and the way it's evolving now. Now, when I look at digital transformation, erstwhile, a lot of digital transformation was about packaged data. When I say packaged data, it's more of historical data, right? You're looking at post-mortem activities and then trying to see how you can improve on what can be done in life. The human was a very important factor in the past, because data was not live or not fungible across a environment. Last few years, if I talk about the best ERPs in the 90s and 2000s, they were not even covering 30-40% of industry processes, right? A lot of it was operations tech, a lot of it was engineering tech, and IT had no clue, or no view into what's happening in that space. Today, that world is converging, and the need. So we've been trying to go digital last 10 years, right? The whole industry, all corporations, when they say we are digital, they're attempting to go digital because there's so many broken processes in that entire ecosystem. Converging that is near impossible, not necessarily because of technology, but because of cost of refresh, cost of integration, and associated downtimes and all of that, right? So from that world to coming to a world that we're looking at today, where we talk of composability, we talk of intelligence, we're talking of a lot of near zero latency, near zero response times coming up, right? The digital world today is going to be really being digital and doing digital in the real form, right? And that's where this could be getting me into trouble with some of the conventional thinking processes there. But the way I see today is the whole digital as a concept is where startups will start thriving and scaling today, because they will see the world very differently. Like we've got used to working, and while age is not a factor, and you said 60s, 70s, 80s can be an important aspect, the ability to unlearn is what I believe very, very important today, because we've defined processes, they are so hard coded. uh, you've lived those processes for 20, 15, 20, 30 years. And if somebody comes and says, change the process, if you're not willing to change, you could be a showstop there, right? So the willing to change is an important aspect. So when I'm looking at the processes today, a lot of look at metaverse itself. What was being done in a physical store, all of that I can do in the virtual metaverse environment, right? All the way into hopefully haptic, hopefully smell, hopefully the whole idea of touch and feel that we're looking at in the metaverse world. When we look at industrial side of it, can be done today, right? Is it at economies of scale? No, but technologically feasible and beyond the niche application that we're talking of, right? So you'll really start seeing digital transformation in the true form. And I'll go a little ahead. The need to do digital transformation in the real form today is not necessarily because business needs it, but because of sustainability aspect. You spoke of circular economies and transition economies, right? The amount of wastage that happens in the conventional processes today, whether it's time, effort, raw material, people, resources, is extremely high, right? For you to be able to address that need of net zero by 2050, net zero by 2030. There's so many important philosophies that have been concepts that have been created that need to be adhered to. Going digital is no longer a good to have stuff. It becomes a mandate, right? And you can't digital without technology. Technology becomes a core of all aspects, which are irrespective of the industry that you're looking at. And a lot of these technologies are going to be centered around things like AI, AR, VR, metaverse, IoT, blockchain, right? So it's all a ripple effect, all a cumulative effect. And uh, I think the next 10, 15 years is going to be phenomenal from a digital transformation standpoint.
Right.
We will rewrite the way business is done. World will rewrite the way value is added, value is created, value is owned, and that's where the whole digital trust, NFTs, and token economies are going to play a very, very big role in the way we see this evolve in the next 15, 20 years.
I'm sure. I mean, it'll be difficult to kind of give examples on some of the digital transformation which is really add value. But if there is something that that works that you have done, if there's something that you could share with the audience, will be really, really nice.
Absolutely. I'll give you a broad view of it, right? Because one part of digital transformation, the way I see it today, is we've seen the IT OT converge, right? Operations tech and information tech converge in the last 10 years. We've seen a lot of that talk happening there. The engineering tech was another area which the metaverse will slowly start allowing that to be opened up, right? You're seeing engineering tech converge, and metaverse itself is a creative tech, your world, your specialization, your passion. So when I look at creative tech, engineering tech, operations tech, information tech converging, right? Uh, the whole world of industrial metaverse will start playing a very, very different role for the world, right? And I've had the opportunity to work with very complex industrial systems in the past, be it oil rigs, be it refineries, where the challenge that you see in some of these environments are created by past gen technology, the infrastructurally very capital intensive, and people who've been running, building, designing, and growing those processes are retiring today, right? So you're suddenly exposed to an environment where there's a very complex system running, predominantly, I'll use the word analog or digital 1.0, and people run it because they know the system very well, right? They can feel it, they can sense it. Their intuitive decision-making skills are extremely powerful today, right? So I had an opportunity to look at this use case very strongly, and we've seen, if you watch a movie called Deepwater Horizon, the Gulf of Mexico oil spill that happened, and even after 10 years, we're seeing the effect of that, right? Now, those environments are very sad, very hard, very deep impact on the ecosystem and the flora and fauna of that space there. But they may not be unique, given the context of the world that we are in today. We might end up seeing a lot of those natural calamities, and it's not natural calamities, it's a disaster which is man created. right? And avoiding those will be something that will be very, very important. And a digital world, a simulated environment, which is a world environment that we create with the metaverse concept, bringing all of these data points together, moving away from the traditional Moore's law to a Shor's algorithm today, right? The whole quantum simulation coming up there. The ability to be able to train people who are knowledgeable but not experienced, and augmenting experience along the way, and getting them to manage such complex systems very, very effectively, right? Many of these systems are not going to go away overnight. There is a need to move away from them, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take its own time. And how do you manage it effectively in those times? So that's where I think I would say the whole engineering tech, operations tech, information tech, creative tech coming together and allowing people to create environments which are where they can take risks. They can go ahead and play around, make mistakes, make a blowout happen, allow the oil rig to explode in the metaverse world, use AI to make quick decisions, use augmented analytics to make quick decisions, and be familiarized with self-intuitive versus AI, generated intuition, right? And how do you combine both of those and create a human augmented machine intelligence to drive safety, right? Which is prime for us, and then efficiency, productivity, and net zero in the by 2050. Those are the areas that you'll eventually start seeing things shape up there.
Right. Yeah. So exciting things happening. And I think this man-machine convergence, where we need to, instead of us seeing that as a threat, we need to find this, partnership and create businesses opportunities, which helps everyone. Thank you, Pravin. Really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. My last question would be, any advice to students and entrepreneurs, and what comes next for you and Avinya Tech?
Wonderful. So you know what? I think a lot of what we've seen as a pattern has been coming up. I would say two, three things that come to mind right now. I think, at least from an India standpoint, I'm seeing a lot of ecosystems getting created to help nurture growth. The world is complex today, right? Let's not belittle that. It is complex. Business is complex. Technology is complex. Finances are going to be difficult. Post-pandemic, a lot of behavioral changes are happening. So identifying what is working, what is not working, will continue to be a complex challenge in this fast, evolving S-curve cycles there. Be it the CII Industrial Innovation Awards that's happening out there, right, which is creating an ecosystem. I'm currently also driving a fellowship for District 3190. It's a metaverse fellowship. It's a global fellowship of thought leaders coming together. And under Rotary 3190, we are forming that as a platform. We've seen a lot of things. AR, VR, ARA was another interesting initiative of coming together of all of these. I think from a very student or an entrepreneur, there are a lot of other forums. I just gave you things that I have been involved in directly in the last couple of years. Right. We spoke of crowd forms briefly. We know open innovation is very, very important. Crowdsourcing becomes a very important aspect, right? And some of the philosophies that the erstwhile generation grew up with, where not invented here syndrome was a very strong, behavior that you typically found technologists very, very passionate about. I've not invented, I'm not going to, promote that, not going to use that. That philosophy will change drastically in the next wave, right? We're seeing a need for entrepreneurs to collaborate, to work together, to leverage ecosystems, right? And then it's a natural shift. We spoke of machine age earlier. There's a shift from being machine age to system age, right? We're seeing that shift happening very, very rapidly in the recent past. Machine age was largely being smart. System age is largely being intelligent. Right, so you talk of the entire ecosystem and driving that out. We've looked at automation to autonomous world, and autonomous not necessarily a bad word, because it's not about taking jobs away, right? Every job that goes away, I've published a blog a couple of months back where we talk of 999 jobs getting created, or maybe 9,999 jobs getting created, right? So the ability to be able to create more jobs because of the autonomous world is far higher, and we're seeing that as a pattern there. The shift from information economy to a platform economy to today a tokenized economy, right? Where in a tokenized economy, you own the asset as a creator, you monetize it. There's so much more opportunity for entrepreneurs to really go out and do big things at small cost, big things at small team sizes, big things at small ecosystems, and start scaling there. That's an exponential scale that's adding there. And even a concept like mass production to mass customization, right? We're seeing so much towards mass customization today, right? So entrepreneurs themselves are going to be probably multiplied thousands of times because of the low cost entry barriers, access to technology, access to information, right? So exciting thing is you see a lot of student entrepreneurs today. In one of the hackathons that I was judging a couple of months back, I had a 12th standard student come in and talk about technology startup and how passionate he was about what he's doing. And I was like, I was surprised. It was such a shocking thing for me to have a 12th standard kid to come and talk of business, talk of how do I go to market, how do I create scale, what do I need to do. And he doesn't understand technology, at least the conventional way, but his ability to use technology, apply it, make it work, and make it productive was very, very high. So I think the only thing I would say is be open for collaboration, look for mentors, a lot of mentors out there who can come and guide you, help you, look for ecosystems, tie up with them, work with them, look for places where you can actually do lighthouse customer implementations very, very quickly. And your cycles are a couple of weeks and not a couple of months like in the past. So weeks to days to hours. The whole idea of experimentation, development, life cycles, and how to use that to productize your solution very quickly and go to market. Some of those things become very, very important, Eddie.
Right. Pravin, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. You rightfully pointed out to this complex dynamics which is playing out in a hyper-connected world, and this democratization of technology. It's given access and empowered so many people, not just the urbanites, even people living in rural areas. So exciting things happening, but also this democratization of technology is doing this thing of where it's creating accessibility and enabling innovation. But because of the democratization, the monetization opportunity is also dwindling. So in this complex and dynamics world, I think you've got to be agile, frugal, crazy, and go out, meet, collaborate, find answers on what you create holistically, rather than the Web 2.0 world where it was like juicing the customer completely, and where we can create a community where it benefits everyone. Though it sounds, idealistic at this point in time, but I think we'll get to a world where every individual or every business cares for its consumers in a way where we understand our role and responsibility, that, like you pointed out, the ripple effect. Instead of creating the bad ripple effect, let's create good ripple effect. So really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you, Pravin. Really appreciate this.
Wonderful, Eddie. Thank you.